In the dim corridors of life, where light fades and shadows deepen, we face truths that many would rather ignore, truths about the nature of desire, the vulnerabilities of the human heart, and the weaknesses that shape our relationships. We speak not to expose, but to understand, for the path to wisdom begins with recognizing what lies beneath the surface. In the realm of human connection, few are willing to admit that the forces which pull us together are often as fragile as they are powerful. As men, we are told to seek control, to master the world around us. But there is a deeper mastery, a far greater conquest to master ourselves and see through the veils that cloud our judgment. The ancient Stoics taught that true strength lies in self-mastery, in standing unmoved in the face of life's tumultuous waves. Today we journey through the quiet truths of a woman's weaknesses, not to manipulate or take advantage, but to reflect upon what these truths reveal about us, about our own vulnerabilities and the silent battles we fight. Let this be a call not to indulge in games of power or to seek validation from others, but to awaken a deeper yearning for self-control and inner fortitude. For it is in understanding the weaknesses of others that we better confront our own. Let us strive to rise above, not as spectators of human frailty, but as practitioners of an unyielding philosophy, Stoicism, that demands we conquer our minds before seeking to conquer the world. In this shared struggle we find strength, and in our silent resilience we discover the true path to becoming men of purpose and integrity. 1. The lure of validation. A woman's craving for validation is often as instinctual as our thirst for power. Yet this vulnerability presents a lesson for us. We must not seek to feed this craving for our gain. Instead, we should recognize the same hunger within ourselves. The desire to be acknowledged can enslave the soul. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When we depend on external validation, we surrender control to the whims of others. To rise above, we must practice indifference to both praise and criticism, anchoring ourselves in our intrinsic worth. 2. The need for emotional security. A woman seeks emotional sanctuary in those she trusts, but we must ask ourselves, how steadfast are we as guardians of that trust? To be truly worthy of it, one must cultivate a mind that remains unmoved in the storm of emotions. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Emotional security cannot be granted through promises or reassurances alone. It is forged in the quiet resolve of a man who knows his own mind and does not falter. 3. The struggle with overthinking. Many women wrestle with the intricacies of their thoughts, a web that can entangle the soul in endless questioning and doubt. This is where we must embody the Stoic ideal of simplicity. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength in our own lives. We must be the example of clarity, not letting ourselves be consumed by what may be or what might have been. Let us respond not with more words, but with action, decisive and deliberate. 4. The longing for connection. There is a deep-seated need for connection that drives many of our actions. Yet true connection cannot be forced or manufactured. It emerges from mutual respect and authenticity. The Stoics believed in the importance of sincere relationships guided by virtue. As we cultivate our virtues, we find that we naturally become a person worth connecting with, without resorting to pretense or manipulation. Our relationships then reflect the depth of our character, not the shallowness of our desires. 5. The fear of abandonment. Abandonment, this primal fear, often hidden beneath layers of pride or indifference, can be a woman's silent torment. But for us, the understanding lies not in exploiting such a fear, but in conquering our own. For we too are often afraid of loss, rejection, and solitude. Yet the Stoic learns to walk alone if need be, knowing that the true self is never truly abandoned. Our lives must not be defined by the presence or absence of others, but by our steadfast commitment to our path. 6. The battle against envy. Envy emerges when one perceives that they lack what another possesses. It is a silent poison that eats away at contentment. For a woman, it can manifest as comparison, often fueled by a culture that idolizes superficial standards. Our response must not be to validate or deny these comparisons, but to embody contentment with what we possess. As Epictetus said, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. We must be examples of inner wealth, showing that true fortune lies not in having more but in needing less. 7. The desire for drama. There exists within some a latent desire for drama, a need to feel alive through the turbulence of relationships. While such tendencies may ensnare many, we must be the calm amidst the chaos. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment, said Marcus Aurelius. In the face of provocation, we remain undisturbed, not out of apathy, but out of strength, knowing that our peace cannot be taken from us unless we permit it. 8. The impulse to test commitment. A woman may test a man's commitment not out of malice, but as a means of discerning his true intentions. Yet, a Stoic knows that genuine loyalty cannot be proven through trials or tribulations imposed by others. It is demonstrated through consistent action. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. V1 Marcus Aurelius reminds us, we do not bend to satisfy arbitrary tests, we stand firm, because we live in alignment with our principles. 9. The appeal of power dynamics. Power dynamics often infiltrate relationships, influencing behavior and perception. Some women may seek to assert dominance or play the submissive role to gain an upper hand. We, however, refuse to engage in such games. True power is mastery over oneself, not control over another. We are not swayed by roles or expectations set by society. Our authority comes from within as we exercise dominion over our passions and ambitions, refusing to be drawn into petty struggles for dominance. 10. The burden of perfectionism. The pursuit of perfection can become an oppressive force, both for women and for us. This striving often leads to self-judgment and dissatisfaction. The Stoics teach us to embrace imperfection, not to revel in it, but to understand that human nature is flawed by design. No man is free who is not master of himself, said Epictetus. Mastery comes not from achieving flawless action, but from persisting despite our flaws, continuously refining our character. 11. The attraction to mystery. Mystery carries a certain allure, a draw toward the unknown. A Stoic man embodies this mystery, not as a calculated facade, but as a reflection of his inner depth. We reveal only what is necessary, speak only when it serves a purpose. There is a power in silence, an unspoken wisdom in restraint. We remain an enigma, not because we wish to confuse, but because our path is not for others to fully grasp. 12. The need for reassurance. At times, women may seek constant reassurance. But if we indulge this need endlessly, we do not help them overcome it. We must instead lead by example, showing that our worth is not derived from others' opinions, but from our own recognition of who we are. We find solace not in others' words, but in our silent confidence. We remind ourselves that, as Seneca wrote, A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. As we draw the veil back over these quiet truths, let us remember that true mastery does not come from bending the will of others, but from shaping our own. We have explored the frailties that lie hidden within the hearts of women, not to exploit or control, but to confront the reflection they cast upon us, our own insecurities, our need for validation, our fear of abandonment. In acknowledging these weaknesses, we do not judge, we understand. We see that the same struggles lie within all of us, men and women alike, each of us striving for connection, reassurance, and meaning in a world often indifferent to our desires. The Stoic path calls us to something greater than power over others. It calls us to power over ourselves. It urges us to rise above the distractions and deceptions that pull us away from our center, to meet life's trials with a calm resolve. As Epictetus has said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Let this be our compass. Let us be the quiet storm, steady and unwavering, a beacon of resilience in a world swept up in chaos. When we understand these silent struggles, we cultivate empathy, but we also cultivate strength. We do not lose ourselves in the weaknesses of others. Instead, we find in them a mirror that guides us to greater self-knowledge. But let us leave behind the games and masks and embrace a deeper authenticity, one that does not waver for the sake of approval, nor tremble before the fear of rejection. In the end, we walk this path not to transcend our human nature, but to elevate it. We strive for a quiet dignity, a silent resilience that speaks louder than words, that cannot be shaken by the tempests of life. For it is in this stillness that we become truly unbreakable, in this inner mastery that we find the freedom to live as we are meant to live, fearless, steadfast, and with purpose. This is the way of the Stoic. This is the journey we must take together.